Hey, this is Notser, and today we're talking new mechanics and consumables that Wargaming is in the early stages of testing. They detailed this in a developer blog post that they posted yesterday, and I want to talk about this stuff because it makes me really excited. I love that Ships is always trying to create that value, the variety, and a reason to go down a new line. World of Tanks, and honestly, a lot of games that have mirrored this style of unlocking, they sort of forget that you have to have an experience worth experiencing to go down these lines and to spend all this time. But World of Warships has done a great job of nailing the characteristic uniqueness in these traits. So I'm super excited to see more of it, and let's just talk about them. Now, the first thing that Wargaming is testing, it's a consumable called Fuel Smoke. It injects fuel into the smokestack that then covers the ship in a smoke screen. But the smoke screen lasts for less time than smoke generator. This consumable would allow the ship to move at full speed while still being completely concealed in that sort of one-person smoke screen, or a very narrow smoke screen that's not going to last too long. This is really cool. And this is something that hasn't really existed in the game, but it has sort of been whispered in the background of potential additions. Smoke is obviously something that exists in real life, and ships obviously made use of it by injecting it in their smoke screen. And you can see many different pictures of these huge fleet action where it's very clear that a ship sailed in a line and left the smoke so that it's concealing the position of others. Create chaos, misdirection. You don't want your enemy to know exactly what you're doing, and the smoke screen, specifically this fuel smoke injecting, provides that in sort of a quicker, more concentrated manner than what smoke generator could provide. And you might ask, well, why would I add this to World of Warships? What does it bring? The idea that you could move at full speed and still be concealed in smoke is very appealing. It allows you to maybe conceivably perform a tactical action that you couldn't normally do. You know, maybe covering ground or distance that would normally be out in the open and be punishable by shots incoming. But if you were to inject your smokestack and move position from one island to the other without giving away your position, because while under this effect, you are completely concealed unless radar or something breaks through the smoke, then this is honestly a tool that could be applied to literally anything. This could be the Italians' hydroacoustic. What if every single Italian ship at a certain point, obviously you wouldn't assign this to a tier 1 cruiser or a tier 2 cruiser, it would be weird, but as you go up, this tactical option becomes available to the Italians, or for whatever line in the future they want to do this. And they can, one of their traits is they can just cover open ground, 10, 20, 30 seconds worth of open ground that would normally be revealed. This is just a cool feature that is available to a line of ships, premium or otherwise. I think it's great. Having the opportunity to cover ground and still be concealed is incredibly exciting and something that this game desperately needs, right? Speed boost for the French, flanking, great. But being spotted by air, being spotted by, a DD that randomly strays over in the area, that's not the best feeling. But if you were to have fuel smoke as a consumable, then you could make more aggressive plays and still find yourself in a defensive position that you could then make use of. It's incredibly exciting, and I don't see any downside to this. Obviously, balance. You don't want to give too many people this ability, and you don't want it to last too long, because then it's just going to be like Smoke Generator 2.0. It does everything that Smoke Generator does, but it does it better. And you don't want that either, because you want them to be competing ideas. What am I asking myself and my teammates for in the moment? Is this situational ability more useful here, or is this one? That is always a good choice to have a player make. Now, another consumable that they're testing, smoke shells. As the name suggests, it's a shell of smoke that you load in your main caliber, and then you can then fire it up to your maximum gun range. There's no limitation on this idea. That's the initial idea that they offered. I have a couple thoughts on it. It would be cool to be able to project some smoke for a teammate. Or to conceal an enemy. You could conceivably conceal an enemy and force him to have to sail out of the smoke or something. I could totally see that being really cool. Being really annoying. It could be a tool that would absolutely be exciting. But it is so easy to use this tool for evil, you know, trolling teammates left, right, and center. I could do it for days. Immediately, the mind races through ideas of just dropping smoke so that my teammates can't farm damage or spot enemies or see anything to do. Also, you could reveal their location by smoking their position. Because obviously, if the ship is covered in smoke, forcibly, then it changes the dynamic of the spotting. And then if you're a ship, maybe you're an enemy battleship, and you drop off detection, well, guess what? You know that that ship just entered that smoke cloud that was then just projected by their enemy ship over on the other side of the map. I am not going to go over that area. I'm going to stay far away as that battleship, and then sort of the surprise is gone. So, yes, on one hand, being able to project out smoke into the battlefield, you could make this choice. Absolutely great. I could see smoking out corners of islands, smoking out enemies so that they're either forced to move or they have to just weather whatever the smoke cloud can offer, but then you can use it for your teammates. My only hang-up is that it's incredibly trolly and toxic, and if this community and other online communities have proven anything in my 30 years of being on this planet, they will always go for the trolly, toxic choice. Always. So, if wargaming can limit the number of charges that it can be used, sparingly, you can only use it a certain amount, maybe it limits the weird, toxic trolling-ish that can just easily take over a person's better judgment. And that's my only concern, that you could project this out and punish other people. That's the only problem with it. A lot of these consumables are a choice you make, and it has to be within your best interest. But with projecting smoke out to others, you're definitely going to try and help teammates. And there's going to be people who don't appreciate that help. And that's the concern. Is the appreciation for the consumable adequate to sort of drown out all the toxicity that could also be created through shooting people with smoke? We'll have to wait and see on that. I would love to test it on something. I would love to have a premium in some super tester environment, or obviously getting access to a premium ship early and just seeing how do people feel if I shoot them with smoke. We'll have to see on that one. Another cool mechanic that they're testing is a semi-armor piercing shell. So similar to an armor piercing shell, it has high damage, but unlike an armor piercing shell, it has low armor penetration. And just like an armor piercing shell, it cannot set fire to the enemy ship. Now, what could this bring from a gameplay standpoint? Why would I ever want less penetration? Isn't penetration the best stat? Well, not exactly. You want just enough penetration that you could enter the ship and enter the vital parts of the ship. You don't want it to bust all the way through. And there's an Italian ship right now at tier 8 that overpins massively. And a semi-armor piercing shell might be the ticket to bringing it in line and bring it into a very exciting playstyle. This is probably the Italian branch that we will see across cruisers and battleships and destroyers. This is a very interesting concept. The idea that it does a lot of damage, but you have to be more selective with your locations. And certain ships, you'll actually be more effective than if you were to fire a bigger, more armor-piercing shell type. If I were firing on a light cruiser or even a destroyer, the lack of penetration actually helps increase the damage output towards these targets. And if you can hunt for the low armor zone on bigger ships, you can always have an effective armor-piercing shell. You know, superstructure is pretty much set in stone that it's low enough that even these super small gun calibers can benefit by firing at it. So it would stand to reason that a semi-armor-piercing shell with less penetration would hopefully, you know, stick in the superstructure more frequently, or the broadside bow and stern armor. That's pretty exciting, and that could offer a unique gameplay loop that could accompany an entire faction, you know, like the entire Italian Navy. It's something that will probably be a part of them. I don't know if it'll replace completely armor piercing for them, if it'll be a choice, if it'll be a consumable or whatever. I expect it'll probably replace their entire armor piercing choice, but it's cool because it's just another line with a new unique gameplay loop, and you can say gimmick, but I see it as a challenge and an exciting adventure to try something different. Maybe it becomes something I want in the game. That's what has made this game so great. Wargaming has tried even the most bold mechanic adjustments, and it's worked out. It's created new, unique gameplay loops that, you know, World of Tanks couldn't hope to have. And that's why this game is so much better, in my opinion, than any other wargaming product. It lives up to the unique line variety, and, you know, semi-armor piercing shells would offer that unique gameplay loop, hopefully. Now, one final new mechanic that wargaming is in the testing phase for: Nearshore Concealment. So this would be a ship ability, and it would lower the ship's detection range when it was near the shore. The ability would activate automatically if the ship is not moving or moves at very low speed next to the shore. This is kind of interesting because what this could mean is a premium ship or a line could be encouraged to play in and around islands. Sorry if you play on ocean. But by playing near these islands, you sort of get a boosted concealment value that you can sort of run through a blockade or something like that, where the enemy has set up good sight lines. They would normally spot a regularly concealed ship, but if you're right up against an island and you gain 1 to 2 kilometers worth of concealment, that could be the difference between getting your flank on and being completely wiped out by the enemy. And it wouldn't necessarily be something that would easily be readable, because you're not going to just pop up all of a sudden being spotted, you know, right next to a radar ship. You could use areas of the map that weren't normally traversed, you know, less popular areas, but they're super popular for this line of ship because it's got this unique feature and trait that comes online. It's also exciting for those of us who love staying near islands because it's a superpower position, you know, maybe American heavy cruiser. But those dreaded aircraft are providing all that free spotting information for the enemy's team, right? That's another frustration that this would honestly alleviate, because the air detectability would also be improved at the same or similar rate as the ships. This would give a little bit more power back to ships with regards to their location near islands. It's not, you know, that they need it, but it's nice to have that sort of back and forth, where every other ship line sort of balances itself out by being better at defeating another, and it creates this feeling of empowerment, because if you use your tool correctly, you will go very far. But if the enemy uses their tool very correctly and it just happens to counter you, you've got to work much harder to deal with them. Adding options and new abilities that encourage new and dynamic and aggressive gameplay, I'm all for that, and this is doing it. Don't have any issue with it because you can't project it out on other people. Only, you know, issue is it balanced enough, and testing is going to reveal all of that. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my videos, you can click the most recent and the most relevant uploads. Also, you can choose to subscribe to my channel. I do daily World of Warship content, first impression, how-to, news articles just like this, and reviews. I also stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.